Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Newcastle Town Board Work Session. The board has been in executive session discussing contracts and personnel. And may I have a motion to open the work session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so today we're going to start off with a discussion on a resolution recommending the Westchester County Board of Legislators renew and reaffirm terminal use agreements of commercial airlines operating at the Westchester County Airport. And to start us with the discussion, we have Greg Elders, a co-chair of the Airport Advisory Board, who will give us the background and recommendations of the intermunicipal task force.
Sure. You come up here.
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for pointing me to the Newcastle Airport Advisory Committee.
Yeah, thank you for your work.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of us on the committee, and then we're part of this broader intermunicipal airport advisory committee made up of 7 towns: Rybrook, Town of Rye, City of Rye, Portchester, Greenwich, North Castle, Newcastle. So as part of that, because there's this expiring terminal use agreement at Westchester Airport, which regulates how many flights and how many people can go in and out of the commercial terminals, that expires December 31st, 2024. And so what we're doing is this committee, the broader committee, is really trying to put this resolution forward to show our united front to renew that terminal use agreement. And so the idea through this terminal use agreement, again, is to limit the traffic. Obviously, we all enjoy Westchester Airport. It's convenient, it's close, goes to Florida. At the same time, it can be loud. So it's trying to find that right balance. And so this resolution, just talking about the terminal use agreement, and so just talking about the terminal, so this does not address the 85% or so flights, the private jets that go through the other fixed base. So this is just the big JetBlue, whatever, commercial airlines. Those are also the loudest planes. And so this expires December 31st. And really, we want Westchester County to renew this agreement. And so it's been in effect for 20 years, 10 years plus 5 plus 5. So we want them to do something similar. So the idea is with this resolution that the 7 different towns will pass it. Already, at least 3 of the towns have approved it. And so the idea is, again, that we approve this and show that united front that we're concerned. We want a new terminal use agreement in place.
Right. So basically, the task force has a number of findings here, and you'd like us to endorse them and make a recommendation to the County Board of Legislators.
Correct.
And these municipalities would presumably all sign on to substantially the same resolution,
Correct.
making those recommendations
Exactly.
based on those findings.
Exactly.
Okay. And this pertains to the airline passenger service, which consists of 15% of the actual activity of the traffic in the airport, and the other 85% is controlled by private use, such as the FBOs, the
Fixed
fixed
base
base operators,
Exactly.
which are independent.
Correct. And they have different agreements in place.
Right. Well, I mean, there seems to be a twist to that because some commercial flights do go through the FBOs and
Yes.
thereby evading the requirements of the.
And there's separate lawsuits. There was just one recently. 3 of the FBOs lost. And so so
they
that's
lost. Okay.
they did. So but that's separate. So this doesn't
When they
address
lose, do they go under the TUAs, under the
that. So there's a whole
terminal use
separate
agreements?
fight that they have to be part of the terminal. And
Right.
so there's this whole issue of sort of closeted commercial airlines working from the FBOs. And
Right.
so that's a separate issue. So this is just looking at the terminal, like the big terminal where the JetBlues, American Airlines type people go through.
Right, but nevertheless, despite the 15%, which sounds like a small number, these TOAs are considered to play a big role in controlling the airport development, so it's worth taking the time
Exactly. It's also
to
the
pay
bigger
attention
airplanes.
to this.
Exactly.
Right, and so they control things like accommodating the number of scheduled aircraft that come in at particular intervals
Exactly.
of time,
Number of people.
and how many takeoffs or landings are allowed, ramp allocations, which affect the number of passengers that go through, so all of those things play a role in you know, the level of activity
Exactly.
that goes on there.
Yeah, so it limits, the number of flights, the number of people, and ultimately number of airplanes, number of the larger A320 type jets that'll take off and
Right.
land.
So I see here that you're recommending substantially the same agreements that existed
Correct, they've
prior
worked well,
with some additions.
yeah.
So-
So the main thing is, right, we'd like another 20-year agreement, so it was a 10-year, 5-year, and 5-year, so something similar, have that long time period. One of the issues is they all expire December 31st, 2024. So since they all expire on the same date, there's the risk that all the airlines could sue Westchester County. And so the idea is if we staggered it, so like you sign up for 10 years, it's 10 years. Another airline comes along, it's their 10 years, 20 years, right? So it's not all expiring at the same date to try to avoid that risk. Other issue is extend this period for 90 days where you can't sue back to Westchester Airport. And so the idea is if it expires, you can't just immediately sue. So if there's like this, if you did, you'd have to sort of stop operating for 90 days, which would be a penalty, right, if you lost your operations, just as a way to sort of reduce the lawsuit. And finally, particularly for the municipalities that provide emergency medical services, they would like to get reimbursed for that, which is not Newcastle, but Rye Brook, City of Rye.
Okay,
Those are the 4 key pieces of it.
well, it sounds like we definitely want them to maintain these agreements.
Correct.
Otherwise, it'll be a free-for-all,
Yes.
basically, so this is very important. I have no problem with this, I think it's important, I think you've you know, you've explained the terms and the purpose very clearly. I'm just wondering, is there anything that you think we should do differently on the resolution?
No,
Okay.
yeah, and again, I mean, to your point before, the status quo has worked. We'd like to keep the status quo. And the idea is the 7 municipalities are endorsing keeping the status quo, that united front.
Okay, do you know whether any municipality has modified this resolution in any way?
So we met a couple of weeks ago and none had changed it.
Okay. All
Again,
right.
three or four have passed, at least 3 have passed, and it was all the same.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with it as is. I think it's very thorough and it adds to what was there before. It
Mhm.
adds some protections, so I think it's very good. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Gregory?
I know that airport concerns are top of mind for a lot of our residents. I am so grateful for the work that you and the airport advisory are doing. I think it's very important. I'm wondering if we could, you probably will anyway, Vicky, but make mention of this in the supervisor's report or post this somewhere, just because I'm worried that people are gonna miss it because it's August. That's my only,
Of course,
Yeah.
right.
just
It
wanna
is
make sure
important.
the residents know that you guys are doing a wonderful job and that you've asked us to adopt this with 7 other municipalities and
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really difficult, intractable issue for so many residents. And I think it's important for people to know that these TUAs don't address flight paths,
Correct.
including altitude. They also don't address noise, and that's a major concern that we have.
Yes.
So that's rather frustrating for us, but it's important for people to know that and that this is controlled by the FAA. So that's the difficulty. So when people, hear about this and that we're trying to address these, noise issues and traffic issues that we don't have control over, the county doesn't have control over these issues.
Correct.
This seems to me to be one of the ways that we can influence our experiences by making sure that these agreements are maintained in place similarly to the way that they've been structured. So I'm definitely supportive of this. And definitely appreciative for the time and effort that you, the members, and the intermunicipal group has put in outlining it so clearly.
definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you have any sense from the County Board of Legislators whether they're inclined towards these terms? Have you had any discussions with them?
No. Don't know anything specific.
Okay,
It might be helpful as well if you can keep an eye on when this gets into the legislature's agenda, so that we can, you know, keep tabs on it, and other members of the community may wanna comment
Right?
Yep,
at
that
the
makes
county
sense.
level can as well.
Will do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great suggestion.
yeah. Okay, Greg, thank you so much. We really appreciate your work and the work of the entire committee. It's a very hardworking committee and people are very passionate about doing this work, so
Thank
we
you.
all appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so we'll be voting on this later in the meeting. Okay. Okay, next, Rob, we have an authorization to approve the 2024 insurance liability coverage.
Yep, so RJ is unable to be with us tonight, but I know he usually likes to come when he has good news. Unfortunately, we don't have such great news this time around. So this has to do with our insurance renewal for our liability coverage for the town. And I think the board is well aware of some of the large claims we've had over the last several years. You know, dating back, we had the oil spill at the pump station up at Horace Greeley. We had the generator up at the water treatment plant blow up, and we've had a couple of personal injury settlements that the insurance company has had to take care of over the last couple of years. So while the last couple of years we've seen the rates increase a little bit, nothing like this year. So you know, unfortunately, 1 year, 2 years of bad claims and you know, the insurance companies can absorb that getting higher, going beyond that, and unfortunately we have fewer and fewer options. So what happened this year, RJ approached 10 insurance companies, rather 11 insurance companies, 10 declined to quote. I think 9 of them were based on our claims history over the last 4 years, and one of them declined because of the Minkle Dam. They won't touch us because of that, so they are interested in our business once the dam comes down, but that is hung up in DEC permitting right now. So the claims history over the last 4 years, the town has paid $2.1 million in premiums, and the insurance company has paid out $3.6 million in claims. It's not a winning formula for an insurance company. So unfortunately, our renewal this year comes in at $1,206,737. That's up from $745,000 last year. We had budgeted about a 20% increase. Would not have expected this increase, and you know, RJ would say or did say to me that, you know, the market overall, as you can probably see, the frequency all over the country of storms, of you know, catastrophic damages that all these companies are having to pay out, unfortunately adds to the overall rate that everybody's going to pay. So he said we were probably looking at 20% regardless of our claims history, and the claims history, you know, the numbers don't add up. The insurance company needs us to have a couple of good years before we can start to see some reductions.
Is there anything you think we can do proactively to set ourselves up for a better rate in years to come?
So these are one-off things, unfortunately. So in response, we had the oil tank leak up at the pump station, right? So we then went around to all our oil tanks and replaced all the underground tanks with above ground, and they all have monitoring systems, and so we've done that proactively. That was something that happened once. It probably won't happen again based on what we did. The generator, you know, that was a 30-year-old generator, still in good shape. We maintained it every year as we should have. It was a freak accident. We even had the insurance company came out and said, we did everything right, it just broke down. So, you know, it was still within its useful life, which is why we had, you know, some insurance payout on that, but unfortunately that broke down. And you always are gonna have the unfortunate accidents that are some of the personal injury type things. And
I mean, this must be something other municipalities face as well.
it absolutely is. So I asked RJ what happens and so our rate went up, our coverage stayed the same, which is good. So, you know, I asked RJ what happens. There's gotta be municipalities that have actually had deaths, you know, attributed to municipal workers. He mentioned one, a sanitation truck killed somebody somewhere further south in the county. And I said, well, what do they have to get insured, right? And he said, well, some of what they do is then they increase the deductible. So our deductible on a general liability claim is $10,000. You know, he mentioned some of these could go up to $250,000. Well, at that point, you don't really have insurance, right? You're self-insuring up to $250,000. So you're really, that's only catastrophic coverage at this point. So our coverage remains essentially the same. RJ walked me through a few really small differences. They changed the deductible on auto coverage from $1,000 to $5,000. That's not a huge deal. But our general liability stays at $10,000. Our property damage stays at $25,000, which is what it was. So, you know, these are the types of things that, you know, you would look at, but I would prefer the protection of this. And, you know, RJ said, knock on wood, the 24 claims look better than they have in the past 3 or 4 years. We haven't had anything catastrophic happen this year.
I agree, it's important that we have the same level coverage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see we have much of a choice.
We don't.
No, we really don't. I mean, like I said, I was prepared for an increase based on what had happened. You know, if you look at the prior year, the 22-23 was $473,000 and it jumped to $745, and we thought, okay, that was huge. And, you know, I added about another 20% on top of that for the budget this year, and here we are. So, you know, unfortunate, but if you see the email from RJ, and you know, RJ really has a vested interest other than his business. He's a town resident, so you know he's really looking for the best deal that he can get for the town. And he said he did have a little concern that we weren't going to be quoted and we would have to go. These are all A-rated insurers, and he was afraid we'd have to go to a lesser insurer that, you know, maybe is not backed by the financial reserves that, you know, we're with a company called Munich. We were with a company called Zurich last year. Munich was apparently the secondary insurer. We're with Munich this year, so it's a familiar company to the town. So
It's expensive, but it sounds like the safer bet based on the
I
circumstances
mean, we
that we
wouldn't have
can't
liked to
really
have been
change.
without insurance with some of these claims that we had. And yeah.
Well, thank you, RJ.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in Portugal. He told me he'd leave his cell
Okay.
phone on in case we needed him. I said, I thought I could handle the discussion without him, so.
Well, RJ, you
It's
picked a
gotta be
good
pretty
time to
late.
be out of town. Thank you.
He certainly enjoys coming to tell us when he's got good news
Yeah.
and
Well, we'll be
And,
happy to see you, RJ, because that'll mean better news. So
Yes.
let's
so
hope.
good, you know, on the flip side, the other insurance that he handles is our workers' comp. And we're in the third year of a 3-year price agreement with the workers' comp, and it's the lowest it's been in 10 or 12 years. So
Alright,
so we get
And for what it's worth, I mean, from what I've seen, you're still kind of like in a good spot, cause I've seen other places where they have the high deductible. So,
Okay.
you know, that's, so again, you're not far off and you're kind of like where other similarly situated munis are, so.
Have they
probably-
gone up as
probably-
well?
Oh, yeah. And there's.
So we're not alone.
and we
here.
were
I think
really
it's
good.
important to
Up
say
until
that.
these single large claims, we hadn't had anything like that in quite a while.
okay, so
It went up, but
pendulum will
you're
hopefully
still
swing
kind of
back.
in that wheelhouse there, so again,
Okay.
it's unfortunate it went up, but compared to other places I've seen, you're still kind of.
So we're in a reasonable
Yep.
ballpark, even though it
Just again, just
doesn't
not-
feel good, doesn't
Non-insurance
sound
guy
good.
speaking, but just from the legal standpoint, you guys are still in that ballpark.
It's a big number, but it sounds like it's the protection
Yep.
that we need and
Yes.
hopefully don't have to use as much. Question though, how So if we budgeted for only a 20% increase, how are we gonna manage the?
Well, that's why we have a significant fund balance for such reasons as this, and this is a reason why you like to leave a little cushion in the fund balance, because there are gonna be unexpected things that happen, I'll even point to like the highway fund. It's very hard to predict how many snowstorms we're gonna see in a year, right? So we basically average about a 10-year average of what we spend in any year. Well, some years it's gonna be lower and we add to the surplus, some years it's going to be higher and we take from the surplus. So this is an instance. We do have some other positive, strong revenue numbers this year. Sales tax is still reasonably strong. Building permits is still reasonably strong. The interest we're getting on the money in the bank is still very strong, as we've seen the Fed hasn't dropped rates. So there are some positive signs to offset some of these expenses. So we haven't done a financial update, and I'm gonna look at what's a good meeting. I know we're bogged down maybe on the 3rd and the 10th of September, but maybe the 17th, so we'll take a look. I'll do another financial update and we'll get, a half year kind of estimate. We have some monies that have come in already and I can better project where we're gonna be.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
There's another item I want to introduce. This was I have a last minute resolution, so I just want to explain what that is. It was a request by members of the Conservation Board to sign on as a partner to a new initiative that's called Less Lawn, More Life Challenge. And the goal of that is to encourage community members to transition to less lawns in their yards and to promote healthier, more sustainable landscapes in order to mitigate climate change and increase biodiversity. So basically, they would be sharing information about the challenge through their networks and engaging with participants regarding sustainable land management practices through social media and Facebook groups, and they would have some lunch and learn webinars. And so it's an initiative for that purpose, and they would need our approval to join. So it's not really joining an organization, it's just being part of an initiative, an activity.
There's no cost associated
There's no
with
cost
this.
associated, that's right. It's just to amplify and build awareness of the challenge. So we have that on our consent agenda,
Okay.
or as an agenda item rather, a separate agenda item.
Right.
Okay, so that's it for the agenda topics, and so we'll go to administrative items.
Sure. Quite a load of administrative items tonight. First, we've got a couple retroactive payment of claims, one dated July 17 and one dated July 25th. We have the adoption of minutes from June and July, the adoption of monthly reports from June and July also. We have the authorization to approve the 2024 NCCMC Web Services contract. So this is something that slipped through the cracks beginning of the year, a lot going on with Carrie and NCCMC. So we have an agreement that doesn't change throughout the years. What changes is kind of the pricing. A lot of those costs are pass-throughs. It's easier for NCCMC to contract and administer stuff, and they pass through some of those costs to the town. For example, the Zoom subscriptions and the website Civic Plus and some of those items. So those prices change each year, and we're just looking for approval for that addendum, and we can catch up on some of those payments to NCCMC. We're going to looking for authorization to award the bid for the Millwood Park ADA Walkway Improvement Project. So that is part of quite a few renovations that are happening at Millwood Park. We had the lighting put in a couple years ago at the baseball field. I confirmed with me today, Supervisor Tip, that the tennis courts are painted. They are
Good.
painted. They also include pickleball. The only thing that they don't have are the pickleball nets yet. Those are on order.
Okay,
They're
that's
coming in.
great.
They're also going to install the backboard
Backboard.
now, which will make Nicole Richey happy and
Oh,
the
good.
Millwood West End Advisory Board.
And I just wanna add for anyone who saw the tennis courts a few days ago, they were, well, maybe up to last week, they were black, so that was just the base coat, that was not the finished surface of the court. So just letting you know that they're painted now and looking like tennis courts, right?
Yes, they are. Ike sent me a
Alright.
picture of them today and they
Alright,
are definitely blue and green like you would expect
Good,
most tennis
okay.
courts to look like. Looking to approve the 2024 Youth Officer Program contract. We're soliciting bids for anthracite and sand filter media for the Millwood Water Treatment Plant. We're extending the municipal and solid waste and recycling services contract with Sanipro. So that was a 3-year contract with 2 1-year extensions. So we're now, I think, in the first year of the extensions. And they've got a CPI increase, I believe it was 2.7%. So that sounds reasonable. I mean, that was built into the contract. There's a an index that they use to reference that, so we're going to approve that, looking to approve that. Bart is looking to purchase 3 spreaders for trucks and DPW, those are salt spreaders, getting ready for the winter season. We're looking to utilize the services of the OGS mini bid to purchase a pickup truck for DPW. We want to award the bid for highway maintenance materials and water maintenance materials. We're looking to solicit bids for our after-school transportation for our rec programs. Unfortunately, due to one of the storms a couple weeks ago, a large tree or trees fell on the fence up at the 9/11 Memorial on that railing. So we have bids to replace that. I think Bob's Fences is going to do that. I think that was around $8,000 for the repair of that fence, and I do believe they'll be able to have that before our 9/11 Memorial if we approve that tonight.
Wonderful,
that's
okay.
good, thank
Yeah.
you.
We have a couple change orders for some ongoing projects, the Byram Lake Road culvert replacement, a change to the engineering, and an authorization to approve a change order for the parking lot, some improvements that they're doing with drainage up at the Chapac with the parking lot that they're putting in there, the accessible parking lot. We're gonna declare a police vehicle surplus. I think it was about a 2016 vehicle, it had a whole lot of mileage on it and not of any more use to the police, I think. It had a electrical system that was going bad. We have an authorization for several officers to attend the Juvenile Officers Training School and Resource Officers Conference. Some of our current school resource officers are going to attend this conference.
Great.
We're looking to approve the contract for Impact Records Management System. This is the police system that they use to record all their incidents and their blotters. So this is kinda been front and center over the last couple weeks. We're looking to now approve the proposal for the bathymetry. Dennis says it better than I do. The bathymetry mapping and sediment sampling for Getney Pond. So they actually did go out there and take a look at the material that was there, and they're able to give us a better estimate now. What this revised estimate includes is now testing of the sediment that they're gonna remove from the pond. So they'll do that, and provided there's no they don't find any contaminants or anything in that, then it should be a simple matter of having it removed by a local company. The company that we engaged for this work was from New Jersey, and they suggested we use a local hauler rather than anybody going down from New Jersey and hauling it all the way back there. We'd end up paying significantly more.
And what's the timing for this?
So that's unfortunately not gonna be until the early spring that we're able to complete this. I think once we engage them, they're able to start the process with the DEC permits that we heard from Dennis are gonna take probably 6 to 8 weeks.
So is the analysis portion of it complete? Is that,
No, I think that will be completed this fall. And then
Okay, so they just did a very cursory
they did
examination, and so the
exactly.
actual.
Yeah, they didn't
right.
do the inspection where they take the, I don't know if it was the sonar and
Right, so that's what I meant about the timing, just for the
Yes, correct, yeah.
bathymetry mapping.
Yeah, I think that will take
would
place
be in the
during the fall, yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
And has the DEC process
That
begun, or
hasn't
do they
begun.
need to do this first?
no, I think they need to do this first.
Okay,
So I think they anticipate doing this in the fall. That will give us enough time during the winter where they won't be able to do this work. And then in the spring, as soon as they're able to, they'll get to the work.
okay,
So, and just an update on that, I think the Parks and Rec department are monitoring, we had some fish and that were washed up on shore, so they're kind of taking care of that.
is there anything else they can do in the meantime to clean up the area?
There's not really, because it's the sediment that's in the pond, and that has to be removed, and we really can't disturb that without kind of running afoul of DEC if they were to
Okay.
find that out.
But
Point out if you
going
see.
forward, yeah, I just think it's really important to have a maintenance plan
So we will,
for the pond,
and
just
Dennis
in
talked
general.
about that, and
Yeah.
that will be something ongoing. We'll get a recommendation once the pond is clear from our consultants, what they would recommend, and I think you heard Dennis say this at the last meeting, that it'll probably involve some herbicides, et cetera, because that's what's gonna be required to kind of keep the growth down in the pond. So he did mention one of the herbicides is one that is I think approved for use in the watershed type area, so
Okay, I mean, I suppose it is originally a wetland.
Yep.
And so we're trying to keep it a pond. I just wanna make sure that whatever we use is safe, because
yes.
people go there, kids go there, and they go fishing. So I just like to make sure
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
we
and-
understand what we're,
And I think the
What we're
board
putting
will
in
be
there.
presented with the options once a consultant recommends how to move forward, and I think that's why Dennis pointed out that the herbicide that he thought they would recommend was one that was used, that is currently in use by different municipalities in the watershed area.
okay. Okay, but I do believe in maintenance plans. I think those are important. They maintain facilities and save money in the long run.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Just a couple others, authorization for Bart to attend the Edwin Tiff Jr. Water Supply Symposium, and authorization to accept a proposal for the exterior painting of the Art Center. If you've been up there.
That's nice. Oh, yeah.
It needs some
Yeah.
renovation, so there's a few other improvements to the Art Center that are coming. I think there's the walkway that they're going to redo, and the first one was this Art Center. We had some money we had capital project for improvements from years ago for the Art Center, and there was some money left over, so we're going to use that to paint first, and then we'll look at some of the other improvements to determine how we're gonna fund those.
Okay. Great, thank you, Rob. Okay, so
I
that
think
does
that's
it for the work session. So may I have a motion to adjourn the work session and to open up the town board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all right, everyone, for those of you just tuning in, welcome to the August 13th, 2024 Town Board meeting. We will start with any announcements that we have. Rob, any announcements? Mark Clerk, no? Okay. I will defer my supervisor's report to the town newsletter. Rob, anything to report?
Yeah, just a couple things, so I think supervisor's tip, I think it was in your newsletter last week, the road paving is gonna begin this week throughout town, and depending on weather, probably carry on for the next couple weeks. I know they're starting tomorrow on Grace Lane and Maria Lane, and you did list in the newsletter all the different roads that they'll be doing, so the town sends out an e-alert each night and each morning in the affected areas, just so that residents are aware. So again, we're still a little shy on what we used to have for the old notification system, so if anybody has not yet signed up for the e-alert system, go to the website, please do so. I know when I sent the alerts out for tomorrow, I think there was 26 properties on the 2 combined streets that the work's being done on, and I got 7 people. So
Could you go over the process for deciding which roads get paved? Because, you know, every year and understandably, we get, you know, and I've certainly gotten communications from certain residents who are concerned about their own roads and wondering
Sure.
because, you know, roads are not perfect, so people are wondering why their roads are not being paved. And so could you describe how the determination is made?
Yeah, so each spring, Bart and Tom and Public Works staff just kind of go out and you know, after we're done having the freeze and thaw process each year, they go out and inspect the roads and they have a good idea. There's kind of a guideline on certain roads depending on how well traveled they are. If you get, for example, like a cul-de-sac that has very little traffic, that road can probably go 25 to 30 years as opposed to a road that's more heavily traveled and that's probably 5 to 10 years at most. So keeping in mind the useful life kind of the roads that they have, they go around and inspect them and you know, they make a determination on which roads are most in need. I will tell you one other step in the process is they consult with some of the utilities, Con Ed, et cetera, if there are any gas mains or buried utilities or anything that they're working on. They don't wanna do any roads where Con Ed might come in the next couple of years and tear the road up and the road will have to be restored. So there are some instances when we're aware that Con Ed is gonna redo some gas mains and, you know, we'll wait until those are completed. Kind of in the same vein, when we know that we're replacing water mains, where we're up on I think Ridge and I can't remember, there's 4 roads that they're working on the water mains right now. And so we're gonna obviously repave after we're done with that, but that kind of is a factor too. So we don't wanna go and repave a road and then come along 2 or 3 years later and do some utility work and then have to redo it again. So you know, those are all factors and it's, you know, it's Bart and Tom Skull and you know, they're looking at the condition of all the roads and you know, we're back on a better cycle. I'll remind everybody, probably a good 10 or 12 years ago, we had years where unfortunately we didn't pave any road. Money wasn't allocated in the budget. We're up to about $1.5 million now per year, which puts us, we were behind for a little bit. $1.5 million probably puts us on par to probably pave, I don't know, 3 to maybe 7 miles a year, depending on any drainage, any reclamation work, anything that has to be done to rebuild up the roadways. So you know, that gets us on, I think, about 105 miles. I'd need Bart to tell me exactly, but we're over 100 miles of town road. So you know, they do have a general guideline on how much road they wanna replace each year. And I'll also say some of the variable there is the state gives us 4 different buckets of money. There's CHIPS money, there's extreme winter recovery, pave our potholes, and there's one other. And those kind of vary, so we have a number in the budget, and when we find out that we exceed, we're gonna get more money than we had budgeted, we put that back in and we pave a little bit more roadway, so.
Okay, that's great. Do we feel, does it seem that we're a little bit further behind than other towns because of those years where
I don't think
there
so,
were no
that was a
monies?
long time ago and we
Right.
definitely put a lot more effort into that and a lot more money. It's difficult in a tax cap world to go from where you had maybe budgeted a couple $100,000 to getting up to 1.5 million. That's not that has to happen incrementally, that can't happen all at once without exceeding the tax cap. So I think we've been able to do that and I think we are we're keeping pace.
Okay, all right, thanks, Rob.
Sure. And we had talked earlier, I mentioned some of the improvements at Millwood Park, and those are continuing. And let's see, Gedney Pond I had, and I don't know if you wanted to mention the sign, the electronic sign.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
so
for bringing that up.
I just wanted to point out that the electronic sign, unfortunately, it's off right now, and the reason that it's off is we're not able to get a signal to the sign. Once the trees grew in this spring, unfortunately, the trees have grown over where we have a transponder that is sending a signal to the electronic sign. So we're working with the school district now and the town's electrician to see what kind of options that we have to move this transponder so we can get a clear line of sight to the sign. So you know,
Right, and the other option is to cut the trees down, and we don't wanna do that.
we don't wanna do that.
So, yeah, we're sorry that the sign is dark and it was displaying incorrect information for a while because the software wasn't working. So it's not that we weren't trying, but hopefully we'll have this resolved soon so that the sign is back on time for tax
Yeah, definitely.
tax reminders and the like in September. Okay.
That's all I have.
That's it then, okay then. So now we'll get to public comment on new business. So I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to make a public comment to come up to the microphone and identify yourself and where you live.
What do we have to do here?
Hello, everybody. Well, it doesn't work. I don't blame you, I shut mine off too.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I wanna wish you, first off, a happy summer and thank you with gratitude for all that was accomplished this summer. Some folks may not know all that the town board and the independent groups and departments accomplished an amazing amount. And I think we're all grateful for Professor Deary for keeping us on budget and moving on. My name first off is John Ehrlich. I live at 1 Apple Tree Close in Chappaqua. And I just wanted to remind those of interest that I had proposed a directory on how to get things done in town, how to deal with things. It's sort of like the quick how-to guide to navigate our departments and ways of getting things done, because departments are running very, very efficiently, and it's I don't think you need a permit to know how things are done. So maybe we can, if that is still of interest to this board and the other departments, be delighted to get this done and published and out. And I think it's enormously important because this community, believe it or not, folks at home may not believe it, but it runs amazingly efficiently for a local municipality. And so just wanted to help out where we can. And I thank you very much for doing a great job. And those of you who came today, glad to see you again. And some people would say I occupy an empty chair as well, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, appreciate that. Anyone online for public comment?
No hands are raised.
Okay, no hands are raised, so then we will move on. We have a public hearing on the agenda. This is for the Indian Brook Croton Gorge Watershed Protection Overlay District. We are going to adjourn this public hearing until September 10th. We're waiting for the municipalities that are most directly impacted, mostly in Ossining, to vote on the watershed district. I think they're doing that today.
And just for that, just to make it clear, I would just make a motion to adjourn that to September 10th as well. You're all here.
Okay, I will do that. I'm just explaining.
No problem. Yeah, just before I forget to tell you that.
But thank you very much,
No
though.
problem.
I want people to understand that we are continuing with this overlay district process, but we will just be adjourning the meeting, the public hearing to September 10th. So may I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we will be back on September 10th for this public hearing. Now I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing on the wetlands, chapter 137, section 2, which is a consideration for removing the words water and under the definition of material in the wetlands section. It was mostly for the purpose of clarity or of removing the consideration of water as one of the materials that should not be included in wetlands. Dennis explained it very well the last time. I don't know if he's here for another explanation. I don't think so.
It's not, I don't.
Is there anything
I
that
mean,
anyone
Dennis-
would wanna add?
You know, Dennis wrote a nice memo on the topic, it's included in your packet, but really it makes sense to exclude water and because we are talking about wetlands, so it really
Right.
wasn't meant to be in there. In the definition of materials, so that's what the local law is proposing to do tonight, is just really taking those two words out of the definition.
Right, and these are materials that should not be put in a
Correct.
wetland area, so
Correct, and
water
you're right, exactly.
didn't make sense there. So did we do the
I
motion yet?
think this is the first time tonight, so you didn't motion to open the public hearing.
Right, so may I have a motion to open the public hearing on changing the definition of material in the wetland section?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone for comment on this public hearing? No one in person. Is there anyone online regarding this public hearing?
No hands are raised.
Okay, so at this time, since it's very non-controversial, there's no one here, I would propose that we leave the public hearing open for written comments until Friday, this Friday, the 16th at noon. And so I would propose to close the public hearing. Okay, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so anyone with written comments, please submit them by noon on Friday, the 16th. Okay, all right, thank you.
Vicky, I forgot to tell you, and I just wanted to take a moment to
Mhm.
congratulate our 10U baseball team, boys baseball team. There were not enough 10U boys in town to make a whole Newcastle team, so they combined with Croton for the summer, and I'll give you all their names tomorrow to put in the supervisor's report, but my son Aaron was on the team as well as a few other boys, and they won the championship in Danbury
Oh.
last weekend, and it was really
Congratulations.
exciting.
So
That's
exciting.
great, okay.
I know we like
Send
happy
me
news.
that
I will send
information,
you.
I would
will
love
send you.
to congratulate them.
Yes, I know you
properly.
would.
Okay, it's wonderful news. Okay, so that takes us to our consent agenda. So let's see, let's get started, Holly?
Alright. I move to adopt items 1 through 21 as listed in the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $1,126,363.22 listed on the summary AP check register and detail voucher detail reports dated July 17th, 2024. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Wednesday, July 17th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $737,262.93 listed on the summary AP check register and detail voucher detail reports dated July 25th, 2024. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Friday, July 26th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize the hiring of Christopher Frank to the position of Parking Enforcement Officer within the Newcastle Police Department at the annual salary of $51,117.63 effective September 3rd, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ally, why don't you take over? How don't you
Sure.
switch page by page so you don't get too tired? It's only the two of you.
I move to authorize the hiring of Zachary McCucci for the position of part-time parking enforcement officer within the Newcastle Police Department at the hourly rate of $20 per hour effective August 19th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
I move to accept the retirement of Anthony Rotolo from the position of detective with the Newcastle Police Department effective August 17th, 2024. The town would like to thank Detective Anthony Rotolo for his 20 years of dedicated service.
Second with thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Detective Rotolo, for your service to our town.
I move to authorize the provisional promotion of Nicholas Brodigam from the position of laborer to water maintenance worker grade 2 at the annual salary of $75,215.89, effective August 19th, 2024, subject to successful completion of a civil service exam and is within reach on the established list.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the hiring of Riley Carroll to the position of seasonal laborer within the Recreation and Parks Department at the hourly rate of $20 per hour, effective August 14th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize the hiring of the following individuals as recreation attendants within the Recreation and Parks Department at the corresponding rates and dates as indicated in the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the hiring of Lucas Abraham, Aiden Foster, and Risha Patel for the position of recreation attendants to serve as camp counselors for the 2024 summer camp at the corresponding rates effective June 28th through August 9th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to accept the resignation of Kalyani Narasimhan as member of the Millwood West End Advisory Board effective March 26th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the appointment of Thomas Harris as a member of the Millwood West End Advisory Board for a 2-year term effective September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to authorize the appointment of Dina Lawrence as a member of the Holocaust and Human Rights Committee for a 2-year term effective September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the appointment of the following individuals as members of the Ethics Board for a 3-year term effective September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2027. Evan Glassman, Mark Ellis, Karen Sobek, and Eric Levine.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the reappointment of Joseph D. Giorgio as member of the Architectural Review Board for a 3-year term effective September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize and award a bid for the Millwood Park Playground and Tennis Court ADA access improvements to S&P Consultants, Inc. for the total amount not to exceed $201,250.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize the award of bids for each individual item to the lowest responsible bidder in each item under DPW 2024-03, purchase and installation of highway maintenance materials bid for a 1-year period for items not offered a contract extension.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I could do the last one. I move to authorize the award of bids for each individual item to the lowest responsible bidder in each item under the DPW 2024-04 water maintenance materials bid for a 1-year period for items not offered a contract extension.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the Town of Newcastle Conservation Board to partner in the Less Lawn More Life initiative, which aims to encourage community members to transition to less lawn in their yards and promote healthier, more sustainable landscapes that mitigate climate change and increase biodiversity by helping to amplify and build awareness about this challenge.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Can we, I am not seeing the resolution for the temporary court clerk.
Oh, true.
Hmm.
Let me see, hold on.
And that
Good
didn't-
catch, Rob.
That didn't make, yeah, very good catch.
She needs to start
So,
tomorrow.
let's see.
I have them done.
Can I just,
Yeah, I think we can just
It's in the executive
State
section.
it?
of the-
Yeah.
yep,
So hold on, I would just,
do you have that?
Yeah, so I would just propose a motion, I could propose, you can adopt it, I would just propose a motion to request the authorization to hire Andrea Quattarcio as a temporary court clerk to begin on August 14th at a rate of pay of $220 per hour for a period no longer than 90 days. And that's the motion I would make.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you,
save.
Rob, for that catch. Okay, anything else? Okay, so may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We're now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Okay, have a good evening. Thank you.
We don't need to go back to executive session, do we?
No, we thought it would be longer than it was, but we had we tabled one item.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
I'm happy.
I thought that one item might take a while, so.
Yeah, fair enough.